I think it's fairly safe to say that the last week or so has been a bit doom and gloom, certainly here in the UK, with all the government sleaze and scandal around their so-called Christmas parties during last year's lockdown, the increase apparently of cases of the Omicron variant, and most importantly, the shadowing, the almost seeming inevitability of further curbs, curtails and restrictions on our liberties and on our freedoms here in the UK. But for my money, the one thing that has been very positive that has come out of this seems to be an almost awakening of the British public, certainly a large selection of the British public, a large proportion of the British public who are saying no more. We won't toe your party line anymore. We won't be coerced into having what is still technically a voluntary vaccine. We will fight back against additional curbs and restrictions on our liberties and on our freedoms. And this, like I say, was the one good thing I think that had come out of all of this. Then Boris came out yesterday, made his cut and paste, pre-recorded, pre-rehearsed and really rather nothing speech to say we all have to go out and get another prick in our arm in order to help maintain the health of the nation, to help squash the Omicron variant and ultimately to save Christmas. And I could almost hear ringing in the background of Boris's words, the public saying a great big fuck you, Boris. All the conversations I had all week, all the discussion, the discourse I've had with people around me of all different backgrounds, ages, ethnicities, all the rest of it, people were saying no, up yours, we're not towing your line anymore. We are going to live a free life and we will continue to passively campaign, passively resist any more restrictions on our freedoms. And then this morning, the news, we see that there are massive queues outside of vaccination centres. The NHS website has crashed because Boris said jump, and once again, vast swathes of the British population have simply turned around and said, OK, Boris, how high? They've bent over and they're waiting for that third prick. And suddenly that slight optimism that I had, that feeling of awakening that maybe the British public had experienced, is snatched cruelly away from me. Now, of course, if you want to go ahead and have the booster vaccine, then go ahead and have the booster vaccine. It would be totally hypocritical and disingenuous of me to say you shouldn't do that, because that is the very thing I am campaigning against, the very thing I'm speaking out against coming from the government. We do still have a voluntary vaccine system, but with the proposed introduction of COVID passports, the looming presence of a Plan C, and the discussion around mandated vaccinations, and we all know what a government discussion means, don't we? I think that passive non-compliance is more important than ever. But sadly, we've crashed the NHS website because everyone is rushing to book their booster jabs because Boris said so. We've got queuing up outside GPs and drop-in centres across the country, and it just feels like the same as before, despite the promise of this resistance that seemed to be swelling in the nation. And what's it for? Well, it's to protect the NHS, of course, and yes, I'm no government quango, I am no virologist, I am no doctor. However, I do have a slight logistical issue, or a logical issue. The reason we want to protect the NHS is to stop it getting overwhelmed. So what we're doing is we're cancelling routine appointments for people who are on long-term treatment. We're cancelling diagnoses and screening of potentially very harmful diseases and illnesses. We are denying first-line access to medical services for people who are ill because we are rediverting, along with the £15 bribe, encouragement for GPs to get vaccinations into people's arms. We're diverting the limited resources that the National Health Service have to vaccinate perfectly healthy people against a virus that they may get but are unlikely to become really ill from. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that maybe focusing the resources on the genuinely sick, ill people who are having appointments and screenings pushed back may be a better way of protecting the NHS and its limited, overstretched and underfunded resources than throwing everything at simply vaccinating 1 million people a day, most of whom, even if they contract this variant, won't get seriously ill, or many of them won't even notice they've got it. I don't know about you, but it's hard to find anything positive coming out of this. But to those of you who, continue to passively resist this tyranny, good luck to you. Stay safe, stay sane, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.